16%. Okay, video's going, audio's going. Becky, Paul, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and get the meeting started. Welcome to special City Council meeting for Thursday, April 3rd, 6 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order and establish a quorum. Councilwoman Garvey.
Present.
Councilwoman Wirkkala.
Present.
Councilman Brennan.
Present.
Mayor Sykes. Not present, and Councilman Harjo is present. We'll move on to action item and deliberation and decision regarding police chief's resignation letter and effective date. Councilwoman Wirkkala.
So I thought the mayor was going to be here today because most of these questions that I have are for him. So I'm just going to make a statement here. So we received the chief's resignation letter on April 1st. It was dated March 14th. I was going to ask the mayor, we have had a council meeting since then, but I just got this Monday. So I wanted to know what the plan was moving forward with that department, but he's not going to answer that. So I may have to just ask to get these on the agenda for Tuesday.
Okay, we can make that an official request. I'll agree to that. Councilman Brennan. Sure. Councilwoman Garvey, would you agree with that as well?
Yes.
Okay. With that, we can table that discussion until Tuesday when we add that to the agenda. I can send an email out to Tiffany and city staff and get that on. We'll move on to action item number 2, deliberation and decision of golf course concessionaire contract and pay schedule. That one is also Councilwoman Wirkkala.
So on March 31st, the mayor emailed council why the concessionaire's payment per contract was not made on February 1st. The mayor then responded to us, I think it was this week. He said that the concessionaire didn't need to pay until he was up and operational per discussion with council during the contract process. That's a quote. However, I do not recall that discussion. I don't know if any of you council recall that discussion. I was going to ask the mayor to clarify where he got that from. Do you guys recall that discussion?
I do not.
I have some notes written down from the 2 meetings in November where we dealt with this on our agenda. I have no notes on that. The only thing that I have to reference is the previous contract, or not the previous contract, the current contract, stating the term under section 2, that the agreement shall be for a period of 2 years commencing on the 27th day of November, and concession fee or rent under section 3 would commence on the 1st day of February 2025. And those are the only written references that I have to that, to those terms.
Okay, so Councilwoman Garvey, did you recall anything on that? The conversation where we said we were going to potentially delay payment.
No, not at all. I don't recall any conversation being said in a public meeting, and I don't recall it being said in a private meeting that we were going to allow for payment to be delayed until he was operational. No, I do not recall anything. Nor did we receive, or excuse me, I received any correspondence in that regard.
President.
Councilwoman Wirkkala.
So I'm going to make a motion tonight. I'll explain my motion in a second. My reason for the motion is that the money that was supposed to be paid on February 1st and March 1st, so 2 months of rent, that was money that was planned to be added to the budget. And also utilities that were used during those 2 months was also per contract. I made pretty much a strong stance last year with the previous concessionaire stating that it's not up to the taxpayers to subsidize a private business. So I do feel bad for the current concessionaire if he was told by the mayor that he didn't have to pay until April 1st. However, there is a law-binding contract that states you have to pay by February 1st. That was money that was planned to be coming into the budget. Again, utilities that need to be paid by the contract, by the concessionaire, not the taxpayer again. So the motion I want to make is to have the current golf course concessionaire pay per his contract, which would include February and March rent plus utilities per the contract.
Councilwoman Wirkkala, was that?
That was my motion.
Was that a motion?
Yeah.
President?
Councilwoman Garvey.
Bear with me here. I guess I wasn't prepared to have this part of this discussion. I think that we need more clarification on why he was allowed not to, or why he was told when he came in to pay, not to pay. The problem that I'm having and the things that I'm hearing, just from based on discussions with the mayor and City Hall, you know, we did not turn over a turnkey operation to him, and I think that there were a myriad of problems that lied upon the city. That's not a right word. That was part of the city's responsibility to fix, that he ended up ultimately having to fix, and it caused these delays. And so I think we need to have further discussion before we slam the gauntlet on Mr. Lemieux as to actually what has happened, because ultimately the person in the room that allowed the extension is not here tonight to answer these questions. And again, you know, we didn't turn over a house that could be rented without repairs. And I know that's the most layman's term I could put it, but I think we need to table this until we can have some answers in the room.
President.
Councilwoman Wirkkala.
There was nearly 2 months of no rent, most of December and January. We knew the conditions of the building when we made this contract. So if that was a problem, then why did we not foresee to make the contract start date later than February 1st? According to the mayor's email, sorry, my computer, he did state that the concessionaire did come in on January 30th to make a payment for February. But again, the mayor told him not to pay until he was up and operational per the discussion with City Council. Again, all 4 of us said we don't recall that. He said, please keep in mind, if this agreement was approved by City Council on November 26th, executed December 3rd. So he did have 2 months of non-payment. And again, with utilities, I'm sure there's a lot of electricity being used. Again, because I was such a stickler of not having the taxpayer subsidize a private business, that's why I made that motion. I'm going to stick with that motion. There's 4 items on here. Okay, so the delays that were on here, it says, number 1, the state health department required him to remove all the popcorn ceiling in the kitchen area. So in turn, we decided to do the entire facility to keep it uniform and clean, which took a little longer. The second one is the contractor the city selected to complete the floor was delayed by a few days. So that took a little longer. The third one is the concessionaire was unable to obtain an alcohol license from ABC until the remodel is at 80% completion. Again, you can run a business without a liquor license, a restaurant without a liquor license. And bathroom fixtures and partitions were delayed on shipping as well. According to people that have, I guess, gone out there, said that the bathrooms were still not even operating on the soft open. That was the other day. So out of those 4, the first one would to me be probably the biggest issue there. But I'm going to let Councilman Harjo speak on that one because you gave me some insight on that.
Yes, so in ducking my head in there, at the time that they began that portion of the project, it was mentioned that that DOPL and possibly another state agency were called in, and some testing of the popcorn ceiling material needed to be done to ensure that it either was or was not asbestos based, and the findings from that is that it was not. That's great for everybody in terms of remediation and those doing the work, so glad to hear that. Councilwoman Wirkkala, regarding the motion for today, I think I'm in a place where I would like to table this until Tuesday when we can have the mayor and staff answer some of these questions directly, before I would like to make a decision on that. I think there's some critical feedback that may lay outside of this email that as to why that statement's made. Councilwoman Wirkkala?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like I got a second anyway, so I support it being discussed again on Tuesday. Again, I thought the mayor was going to hear.
With that, I would like to make a motion to table this and enter it as an agenda item on Tuesday's council meeting. If I could get a second on that.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Are there any other aspects of discussion?
Council President.
Councilman Brennan?
I'm gonna be frank here, and I don't have the facts of what the mayor did or what he didn't do, other than what he put in the mail or in the email. But I'm gonna side probably with the mayor on this one, because I feel like the city has a lot to blame for the late opening. We definitely engaged in a remodel that was not anticipated, especially to the level in which it was when the contract was signed. It started with, let's just do the kitchen area, and then it was, well, that's dumb to take the popcorn ceiling just off the kitchen area. We need to take it off the whole thing. Why are we going to do the floor and just the kitchen area? We'll do the whole thing. Like, when the business is not present, that's the time to do the remodel. And although we weren't planning on it at the beginning of that contract, I think we took the action that was in the best interest of the city long term. And we didn't, and from my perspective, we didn't, what's the word? We didn't subsidize a business because the business never opened. So it was not an operational business until, have they even started yet? Do we know?
My understanding is there was a soft open sometime this week.
Right.
I have not been in this.
So I I don't know if there was any kind of profit earned or not, but I'm not going to go down the road of that we subsidized their business because they weren't open, and I'm going to put the city on the hook for that because we had time, before anybody moved in, to refurbish the building, and I was in favor of that to begin with. There's no better time than when the business isn't operational. There's other aspects of business in that building, but the largest part, I think, is the food operations. So, obviously, I'll hear what needs to be said, but I'm not gonna go down the road of asking him to pay when we didn't. I think we didn't even let him in to open the doors because our remodel got bigger and bigger and bigger.
President?
Councilwoman Wirkkala.
Yeah, I just want to say, when you say the city pays, again, it's the taxpayer paying, and so it's $3,200 that was planned to be in the coffers, like put into the budget for the fiscal year, right? So that's $3,200 that's not put in there, that was planned for that budgeted item. And then again, we were pretty, at least I should say, I was pretty adamant about electricity and utilities used last year. Again, that to me is a subsidized item when someone's using all that energy. I won't say all that energy, but I imagine when you do a remodel, there's some cost to it. He already had 2 months off, and then another 2 months, that's 4 months of not paying utilities. Gas, probably not an issue, but I could imagine electrical, yeah. So that to me is, again, the taxpayer subsidizing business, but that's just my view on it.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other discussion before we take vote?
President?
Councilwoman Garvey.
So, the electricity would have been on and paid regardless if we had a person in there because we would have to keep the electricity on. Further, again, as Councilman Brennan said, he'll side with the mayor, but, to my sentiment, we did not hand him over a place that was just turnkey operational. And the fact of the matter is that when the health department goes in there and they're looking at this place like, it's not operational, nor was he making any money. I think we just need to just remember those things. And then the last thing is that we need to look at the amount of money and energy and resources and time. That place looks beautiful. It hasn't looked that beautiful in a long time. And we need to give him credit where credit is due. He has done a phenomenal job making that place look beautiful, and that takes money out of his pocket. And probably a lot of money that he didn't honestly budget for. So, I think in the grand scheme of things, $3,200 for what he's done, he's not going to take that out when he leaves. It's a benefit to the city. So, just my 2 cents, and yeah, I support bringing this back definitely on Tuesday to hear maybe some other commentary on it from the city staff.
President?
Understood. Councilwoman Wirkkala.
I just, I'm not just blowing this out of my head, these ideas. I owned a business with 15 employees. It was in an outdoor mall, very nice mall. My starting rent was $3,200 a month. My rent fee went up to $3,700 a month. When I had to pay on the first of my month, and our renovations weren't done, because they weren't, we were taking down walls and painting and putting in floors, I still had to make that payment per a contract that I put my name on, because that was a legal binding contract. And so, to me, with my past experience where there was no favors to me because I was offering a service to the community, it was just, I said I was going to do this. They did give me a couple months of, free rent so I could get things moving, but it also put a fire under me to get it done as soon as possible so I could be up and operational as soon as possible, right? So that's just from my experience when I owned my own business. So.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Council President.
Councilman Brennan?
Looking at the contract, I know a lot of these contracts often have a delay of occupancy title section in them. I don't see that here. It does talk about repairs and maintenance of the clubhouse on page 9. It says the city shall perform any required maintenance and repairs to the clubhouse, except those caused by the concessionaire. So a contractual matter is a contractual matter, and the city council is ultimately responsible for that. I will agree. And I'm fine with, I guess with the argument being that the council should be the one to make any adjustments to the contract. But I don't believe the city did anything aside from not asking council's permission, I guess. I think they did what was in the best interest.
Understood. Any further discussion?
Just one more.
Councilwoman.
Sorry. I agree with what you said. Again, like if we hold the purse strings and like we, create or we approve the budget and then we expect a certain income coming in, and also we are the ones that create the contract, then again, I agree with you. Like, why did it not come to us, right? So that's again why I created this request on this agenda, because I thought it was very important to discuss the why on that as well. Thank you.
Council President.
Councilman
Can
Brennan?
I seek clarification on the motion that was made? Is it simply the exact same motion for Tuesday, or are we seeking, more specificity in the motion?
Councilman Brennan, I think my intent with that motion was to carry this, to essentially table this discussion until we can get some city feedback and add it to the agenda for Tuesday. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we will take the vote. Councilman Brennan?
Let me explain my vote here. Because it appears to be a contract modification, without coming to the council, I will vote aye on that. You also know where I stand on probably where the conversation will go with me on Tuesday.
Thank you. Councilwoman Garvey?
President, I will vote aye. However, not because I don't know where I feel like I should vote. I think this is really, honestly, should be an issue that really is a non-issue at this point. But in order to suffice everybody and hopefully everybody feels comfortable with what happened, I will vote aye.
Thank you. Councilwoman Wirkkala?
Aye.
And Councilman Harjo is an aye as well. Moving on, action item number 3, deliberation and decision regarding Marty Anderson's resignation letter and effective date. Councilwoman Wirkkala.
Yeah, so citizens have stated they received Marty Anderson's resignation letter as military liaison. However, to my knowledge, council has not received an official letter. What I have in front of me is a copy that was texted to me by a constituent who FOIA requested this. And again, we've had a council meeting since March 14th. I wanted to ask the mayor, why am I getting this type of communication through citizens and not through the chief administrator of Mount Home? I do know that you tried to request this resignation letter, both resignation letters that we're talking about tonight, last week, and you didn't get a response. So I'm confused on that. I wanted to ask why we are not getting that communication that I feel like we should have. I wanted to confirm the effective date. So the termination, how do you know if this is official? Because it's an email and there's no signature. Paul, is this official? Like resignation letter when it's an email and there's no signature?
I didn't, the last thing you said tailed off, but is it official? I'll answer it in saying that I as legal counsel, am accepting from March 14th, Marty's request for resignation of his contractual position. So yes, I think it's sufficient.
Okay, thank you. I have more. Okay. So per the military liaison's contract, it says that there's 30 days. Oh, let's see if I can find it. See, section 14 termination, it says this contract may be terminated by either party with 30 days written notice to other with or without fault. So in this email, if it starts on March 14th, when it was given to the mayor and the clerk, and then it says here at the beginning, I am submitting my notification to terminate this contract effective April 30th, 2025, that's more than 30 days. I want to propose, I'm not making a motion right now, but I want to propose that we accept this email as an effective date of March 14th with an end date of April 14th.
Councilwoman Wirkkala, is that an official motion at this juncture?
I'm proposing it. I wanted to leave discussion, if anyone had discussion. I have a few things to say. This letter was very interesting. My name was brought up a lot. I'm pretty sure this letter is going to hit the streets. I feel like this is my only time to defend myself, so I'm going to say some more things. In one paragraph, it says, an email I sent to you that was sent to council for internal discussions. I want to make note, unpublicized internal discussions, city business should never be discussed with council internally. That's open meeting violation. I want to make that clear. Also says, Councilwoman Wirkkala informed the county commissioners with the intent to weaponize the email and create discontent. I was asked by a county commissioner what I thought of the December's meeting with Idaho Department of Water Resources. I said the council felt good for the meeting. However, the mayor and the military liaison had differencing of opinion of that meeting per a recent email. That's when the county commissioner decided to do a public records request of that conversation per his entitlement to do that. He's allowed to do that. Also, it says here, Councilwoman Wirkkala stated to me that she is not here to protect me or the city. 4 times she stated this. I will stand by this comment, as I will not protect or cover for anyone if they want to create a public record, aka sending a city email. That is my defense. I will make a motion to accept this termination letter, effective date March 14th with an end date of April 14th.
Councilman Brennan?
Question for legal is this is not an employee of the city, it's a contractual agent. Do we have the ability to cut it short ourselves, or is that an executive decision?
No, you mean between the executive branch versus the legislative branch of the city council?
Yeah, as far as like the executive directs staff and manages personnel.
Interesting question, actually. But I do think that the city council has the authority, as they are the entity that authorized the mayor to enter into the contract as a signatory, and they're also the ones who are responsible for the payment of the funds and the approval of the budget. So I do think you have the authority as acting as a city council to accept the resignation pursuant to the terms of the agreement, which would be 30 days from March 14th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? I will second that. Any further discussion?
I'd kind of like to have a sidebar with legal. That's going to be pretty hard to do here.
You could take the phone and go in another room.
You guys mind if I do that real quick?
We could do a brief recess. If you'd like to take the phone. We will recess at 6:31. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We will resume the city council meeting Thursday, April 3rd, 6 p.m. We are resuming at 6:37. And Councilman Brennan.
Councilwoman Wirkkala, did you get everything out that you wanted to say?
Yes. Yes.
So you're done? Okay. With the advice of council, I'd like to enter into executive session before we make a vote, so we can have basically the same conversation that I just had with him. Then we'll come back in for a vote before the public.
Okay.
If you're so willing to do that.
Paul, when we have a motion on the floor, procedurally, we can make a secondary motion to enter executive now?
Yeah, there's Robert's Rules of Order allows for that.
Okay.
I forgot the exact, it's like really nerdy language, Latin and stuff, but it's basically setting aside the first motion for a supplementary or overreaching, there's a snazzy word for it. It basically says we're just putting this first motion on the shelf, and so long as the maker of the motion and the seconder agree with that, the opposite is say, no, I want the question to be called, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you can supplant it because you want to have discussion with legal counsel for an executive first.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Brennan, was that an official motion?
Yes, I make a motion to enter into executive session.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we will take the vote. Councilwoman Garvey.
Aye.
Councilman Brennan.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wirkkala.
Aye.
Councilman Harjo is aye. We will enter executive session at 6:39 p.m. We will call the meeting back to order, returning from executive session, 6:55 p.m. The roll still remains as at the beginning, so we won't call that again. And the floor is open on action item number 3.
President.
Councilwoman Garvey, or excuse me, Councilwoman Wirkkala.
So I made a motion, actually, with some thought when I'm in my motion. Excuse me. I make a motion to accept the military liaison's resignation as an effective date of March 14th with an end date of April 14th, and pay will end on April 14th.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we will call for the vote. Councilwoman Wirkkala.
Aye.
Councilwoman Garvey.
May.
Councilman Brennan.
Aye.
And Councilman Harjo, aye. And I believe that concludes our special city council meeting for April 3rd. We will adjourn at 6:56 p.m.